Where's that lighthouse again?
Man, it sure is exhausting spectating this race.
Cavalman 231 from MBS News. On the air because of some breaking news.
Those are the questions I want to try to answer.
And that would make you team number 1. Why did you tell A-Lion, like, immediately everything of what it was?
Time for fourth to last.
Where's that lighthouse again?
Man, it sure is exhausting spectating this race.
Cavalman 231 from MBS News. On the air because of some breaking news.
Those are the questions I want to try to answer.
And that would make you team number 1. Why did you tell A-Lion, like, immediately everything of what it was?
Tied for fourth to last.
Where's that lighthouse again?
Man, it sure is exhausting spectating this race.
Cavalman 231 from MBS News. On the air because of some breaking news.
Those are the questions I want to try to answer.
And that would make you team number 1. Why did you tell A-Lion, like, immediately everything of what it was?
Tied for fourth to last.
Where's that lighthouse again?
Man, it sure is exhausting spectating this race.
Cavalman 231 from MBS News.
On the air because of some breaking news.
Those are the questions I want to try to answer.
And that would make you team number 1. Why did you tell A-Lion, like, immediately everything of what it was?
Tied for fourth to last.
And welcome to the GSM to our viewers
Yes,
on
hi.
MBS.
This is slightly unusual to be doing the January GSM on a Sunday, but the scheduling constraints for TAR were slightly more complex than our scheduling constraints. So Yoshi got the priority. But it was a fun set of legs to watch yesterday. So all good things. According to my math, MBS should be live now, so that means that I
is.
get to start my address here. Welcome to the January 2020 General Staff Meeting of the Minecart Rapid Transit Server. We are holding today's meeting at the r/place project on the map world instead of in GSM Town. And currently,
Next happened GSM Town. That just sounds like
we
a
did.
thing that we decided
Well,
never is going to happen.
we did the last two there, so whatever. Present from the staff, AP Red, myself, Echo Hugh, Frumple, HBT, Castle, Mindman, Vicky Posa, and Yoshi. And of course, a bunch of folks hanging out in the channel. And thank you to MBS for streaming. So we do have some announcements from the private portion of the staff meeting that I will read off those results now. That is the wrong document. Chief, learn to read. Okay. So we had 2 cities were submitted for consideration to the rank of premier. We had the city of Radiant Square by Mindbender 15, and we had the city of Larkspur by Vicky Posa. I am pleased to announce that we have approved the promotion for the city of Larkspur. So Vicky Posa is our newest premier, and we will give her a second to give her acceptance speech in just a minute. We did not approve the promotion for Radiant Square for Mindbender. We did think that it was really well done, though. So Mindbender, you've made some really good progress, and we have a lot of specific feedback points in the document that we think will help you at your next run. So anyway, congratulations to Vicky, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Chief. On the very first day I was promoted to member, September 11th, 2018, I decided to be a little bit corny and build a bell in a plot of land by the NW22 MRT station, and dedicate it to giving thanks to both the sheer luck I had in just stumbling upon the server and to the staff for promoting me. See, I've been looking for a server like this for years now. None of my personal friends at the time were really interested in playing in a creative city building world, which I have always had just sort of a bizarre fascination with. I had given up hope in finding a server like this, but while still looking to automate a minecart transport system in single player, I somehow stumbled upon this place. I suppose it was simply just kind of a catharsis or something that caused me to build the bell, but to this day it still stands as the center of the town that I decided to found at that site. At the time, I'd heard about the then 11 premier cities. I admired the effort of their creators, but I never thought my town would join their ranks. But 16 months and 7 premier promotions later, here we are as I deliver this speech. I have my regrets about how I went about Larkspur's growth and recognize its many flaws. Larkspur is my city, and I cherish it and the many experience I had building it. Thus, in the spirit of the first structure I built in what would become the city of Larkspur we know and love today, I extend my deepest thanks to everyone who has in any way contributed land, effort, criticism, transport links, or the time in promoting and publicizing this town, including people who have hosted all or part of their events here. Your contributions have very much made Larkspur into what it is today. While I wish I could thank each and every one of you, this speech is extremely wordy as is, so I will refrain from doing so. Anyway, thank you to my fellow staff members for promoting my town to premiere, as well as the audience for listening.
Yay!
I tried to do applause, but holding down my text, holding down my push to talk button while clapping is an impossibility.
See, my mic is everyone, but my mic is mounted on my headset, so and I'm doing voice acts, so that helps. Anyway, congratulations to Vicky and Mindbender. Hopefully, you'll have better luck next time. On to 4B, moderator nominations. We received 2 or more moderator nominations, 1 player. We did not have anybody with only 1 nomination. As per usual, we will not be disclosing the name of that player. However, I can say that the nominations were successful and that the player has been recommended for promotion. So if I will just quickly double check a couple of things, we will be making a position offer for trial moderator following the end of the meeting. And if that offer is accepted, then I'm sure that you all will immediately figure out when it has happened. So congratulations to Mystery Player, and we hope if you're willing and able to join the staff, we would love to have you join us. Finally, we did not have any officially submitted redacted topics. We did run around in circles looking at a thing for 5 minutes, and that's all I'm going to say about that. So that's what we did in the private portion. Are there any questions? Too bad, hold on to them and we'll deal with them later. Frumple, you have the floor for the first few community issues. We're going to jump into, or I guess not all of the first few ones, but we're going to talk about Zeta. Frumple, you are up first for Zeta migration schedule.
Sure. Okay, yeah, I've got the first one and the last several, but yeah, the first topic is regarding Zeta, and I know there have been a lot of people asking questions about it. On my end, in terms of how much work I've done on the Zeta server, I think I'm pretty much done. Like, there's not much left to do on my end. Like, we've tested the server, we've tested all the infrastructure, seems to be working fine. I have a plan out for how to migrate and all that. That's all ready to go. The problem is on the Minecraft server, we're waiting on 2 particular plugins to update, or there are 2 issues really. The first one is the more critical one. Core Protect does not track any world edits based on the latest versions that are available. We did test out a dev build of world edit yesterday that seems to have fixed most of the issues, but there are still some blocks that are not being tracked. I believe we need to still wait for another update either from Core Protect or World Edit to get that fixed. I have no idea when that's going to happen. The other issue is citizens. There is an issue with NPCs. Any newly created NPCs actually keep the chunks loaded around the NPC, which is really bad because obviously that's going to increase the memory usage on the server, and so there might be a workaround for that one. We could just prevent the creation of any new NPCs, but the first one doesn't really have a workaround. We're kind of stuck waiting for a plugin update there. Because of this, the original plan was I was going to, ideally, I'd like to do the migration next week, starting from the 21st all the way to the 31st of January. So basically late January, with the server reopening on February 1st. It's a perfect time because Yoshi's going off to the UK. Tar is on standby for that time. It's a nice block of time where nothing's really happening. But the thing is, because of the plugin, I'm not entirely confident right now of whether we should go ahead of this nomination. I'll probably wait a few more days, maybe toward the end of the week. And by the end of the week, I'll probably make a decision of whether we'll go ahead with the migration. Again, reminder of the migration. It's expected to take, if you see on the document, 10 to
11 days, it says.
10 to 11 days. It might be sooner than that. It might be better. It depends on what happens. But mainly, most of the time, we'll be done generating chunks. And then after chunks are generated, the Dyn map render will be rendered. We'll only be rendering the flat map. But I feel that it is... But theoretically, I could open the server just right after chunk generation and without the Dyn map rendered. But I think that's going to be... That'll make it more difficult for people to find new land and places
I'd
where
rather
they
wait
want to
until
build.
Dyn map is done.
Yeah.
I second that.
So we're
Also
going
because
to...
because staff are going to want to do world edits. So
Yeah, so we're gonna wait until then. So anyway, TLDR, I don't have an exact date for the Zeta migration. The plan is next week. I will try to confirm it toward the end of the week. I'm hoping a magical plugin update will appear, and we can give the green light, but not yet. So if I say no, then if we don't do the migration in late January, we'll probably be in February. So.
And I'm assuming that the purge will happen while, like, so that there'll be a cutoff date for builds to transfer, and then the purge starts.
Yeah, no, everything. I have a website post ready to go for all this too. But the plan is everything on Epsilon will shut down on the first day of the migration, and then I'll transfer things over, switch over domains, do all the setup and all that. The purge will probably happen 2 to 3 days after. But also before then, all the other MRT services like the website, wiki, Mumble server, OpenTD server will be back. So you'll be able to use those while the Minecraft server is generating chunks and doing all that stuff.
Okay.
Finally, one last note I noted in the agenda. I know we had some plans of trying to promote the server, going off the server list and voting our server up. I'd like to ask people to not do that quite yet. Please do that after we've migrated, because I don't think it's really a good idea to do that now and then they find out that they try to join during the migration and find that we're offline or whitelisted. So please hold off onto that. But afterward, yeah, I think we will try voting up and see if we can get some new folk on here. So.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So I think just once you get a pulse on the plugins, then just go ahead and post that. So. Okay. Godsel Train submitted a map of a bunch of lakes in the Zeta for consideration to be added to the official list for seaplanes. So if you scroll down to page 4 of the agenda doc, Gods has gone through and highlighted all of the lakes that need to be added. So
can we get a map where like it's numbered so we know how many there are? Because it's a bit unclear. I'm really because I can tell some of these obviously, like for example on the top right, that's a continuation, so it's technically not a new body of water. It's the same one. So it's like so I can't tell which ones are new, which ones aren't. So I don't know which ones we have to approve, which ones we don't.
So what we're doing is, so we're approving 2 things at once, kind of. One is extension. I mean, I think it's safe to say that any extensions of existing lakes would automatically be included. And then we're approving so if there are lakes that have a complete boundary that's closed, then those are new ones. So doing a rough count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14, that counts. 15.
The lake in the southeast I don't think the portion that is in Epsilon was ever approved.
Yeah. Okay. So there's 36 by my rough count.
Yeah.
New ones. And I think once Dynmap is rendered on Zeta, then I'll go through and actually number them so that we can accept names and stuff so that they're easy to reference.
Well, it's also like we have to recognize them for people who want to put seaplanes and whatnot. So that's I think that's also the reason.
Yeah. I mean, I think we just have to publish the map with the right numbers and stuff. Yeah, I'm fine. I mean, I'm fine adding them. Like they're all pretty big, and I think Gods has gotten all of them. So.
Yeah, he missed a couple in his original map, but that map looks like it has like all the additions that needed to be made.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh yeah, actually, one thing is that a couple GSMs ago, we named Lake Thanos, which is what Sunshine Coast is on. It turns out that that's a bay on that large southeastern lake. So I don't know what we do about that.
I
it's technically not a lake anymore.
Well,
I guess it's called a lake. I mean,
I mean, why not at this point?
Yeah.
Well, since Sunshine Coast is that the only city that's on that?
No.
I mean,
now?
there's a
Okay.
couple other cities, but
Okay.
I have like
'Cause I would say
50% of the lakeshore.
Yeah, I would say if you were the only one on there, then you could just rename it to Thanos Bay. Or if you wanted to propose naming the whole big one, I think I would say do that once we migrate and have the lakes numbered.
Right. I'll probably send in a proposal to name the big one then.
Okay, yeah, because
Once the
that
time
definitely,
comes.
yeah, it definitely has standing to carry over to the big one. So that's
Yeah.
fine. Okay. Any objections to adding these to the list, knowing that they will be numbered and labeled on a clearer map once the migration is done?
I mean, I would say I don't think we should like say we're definitely approving this because I think it's pretty hard to tell what's is and what's not. I mean, like, because I don't think there's really a negative for saying like we should wait till we have like actual like clear diagrams so we can actually number the lakes. So we actually have, hey, here's a list. So we rather than this kind of like feel like vague map that might be missing a few because of the discoloring.
True.
Do we want to? Does that also mean that we don't approve any seaplanes in Epsilon, or sorry, not Epsilon,
In
Zeta,
Zeta territory?
until the numbering and naming has been fine?
Well, because at least the thing is, as long as we have them numbered, I think it should be fine. Which is because if when Epsilon is planned to happen in somewhere in February, right?
Zeta. But yeah.
Zeta.
Yeah, some soon. Yes.
And the GSM for when is the GSM for February?
Early February, so it's like
It's
February?
Sunday. So I think it's the 9th.
The 9th?
Yeah.
Let me double check.
So it'll be
Yeah,
about a
February's
week.
the 9th.
Be about a week right after Zeta for people to formulate the lakes, I guess.
Yeah, so it's the 9th, and then March 14th is the one after.
I mean, what do you guys want to do?
We may want to wait until there's a more clear map, but I don't know. It kind of, I don't know.
See, but
Wouldn't
would
it be
it be
good to
worth?
just not allow seaplanes until we could have a GSM to determine that?
In fairness, I very much doubt there will be people wanting seaplanes immediately.
There will be. There will.
At that
there
point,
will.
Someone is going to
probably
make a
remain
town,
normal.
get it to counselor, and immediately want a seaplane.
Yeah, no, I can see that because because road and rails, the 4,000 rule is still in place. So the only seaplanes would be effectively the only way to get over there, and
Yeah,
I
and
can see
considering there's no canals.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and
once-
helicopters. So.
Yeah. Maybe
Right,
we can
Kate.
wait. Like
Says
it'll
this
just be a
also goes.
week.
Yeah, if it's just a week, then I guess there could be just be a waiting period, which is I think fine.
I
You know,
think
I think it's only.
We could
Okay.
go back to Gods and
Only a
maybe he
week.
can. We could go back to Gods and maybe he could suggest some numberings at least.
Yeah.
And then naming, we can decide. We can open up at the GSM, or maybe look for a later GSM. We can get the numbers in on February and then names on some future.
Names in
GSM.
March.
Yeah.
Okay. So and Gods, if you don't get to that, then I can take care of doing a number.
Gods isn't here, so we'll have to let him know.
Okay. Is he in game?
No.
No. Okay. Well,
He left already.
Okay. All right. Well, if Gods does not do that, then I can. So okay. All right. So deferring until February or whatever the post Zeta one is. So that means once Zeta opens, no seaplanes on the new Zeta lakes just yet. Okay. Let me just make sure that this is actually being. Okay.
Opie has a concern. He just says, "What if you just don't number the lakes?"
Well, the rule says that it has to be an identified lake for a seaplane to go on. Isn't that what the
Yeah,
rules say?
Obi, it's
That is what the rules say.
Obi, it's mostly just so that we can easily identify them until they get named. So, and just to keep it simple, of it needs to be on a lake that has an official name and number. So,
Official number.
yeah, number at the very least. Okay. Vicky Posa, you submitted a map with wards.
Yes, I think it's in all of our best interests that we don't have a repeat of what happened with Epsilon, where there wasn't a map for a couple years. I don't think it's as big of a deal that we don't have like the full die map for the wards, because I mean it's just based off of the boundaries, which will still be like pretty clear. So do y'all have any thoughts on that?
I know,
It-
Vicky, there
it
was some
works.
debate about some of the borders still, right?
Yeah, I don't remember. It's like I think Yoshi had some objections.
I did.
I thought you did.
Oh yeah, I was saying there was like I think there was a few places where it's like it probably should go along like clear like not biome boundaries for some of them. Like the oceans like totally understand whatever. But like some of them I think like which one was it talking about?
7 and 8, 7 and 6.
7 and 8, 7 and 6. Like I get it. Like it's I guess it's kind of more realistic, or whatever. But also I think it just makes it easier for like road numbering and other stuff like that.
The thing I think with 7 and 6 is that that's the continuation from the existing border, so which does kind of straddle between the savannah and the desert and that sort of stuff.
I can't tell. Yeah, but I can't tell in the 7 and 6 where this. Well, okay, I understand that, but then it also kind of dips down into like past the. When I'm looking confused.
Oh, so you're saying that you would want to move it up and have that whole peninsula be Ward 6?
I would say either move it up or move it down.
I'd say move it down because there's going to be a road that crosses through 6 and 7 to get to that western area at some. So probably best if it tries to be in the same ward area. But that's just me.
Well, the thing is like that's a large area to move. I don't think there are any roads in the just general savannah biome.
Yeah, the southwest
Map.
area. I mean, what was that road that just got built to Deadbook? That's the first thing that's been built in that area. But I think
A6, but it doesn't reach. It doesn't reach the savannah or the desert.
But eventually, I
although
would
it
see
could be
imagine it being
extended.
extended. Yeah.
So should we just transfer like all the epsilon, savannah and desert towards south?
I mean, if we're moving that border down, then we would need to redraw that border a little bit.
And then it would just. And then I'm assuming like, well, I think Ward 6 should still cover the Grand Mesa. And then after that should just swoop down around.
It might make more
like
sense. Oh, go ahead.
Like along the waterways, and then it'll like reach the end of the world and then go north of that ice zone in Ward 6.
Maybe not that south. You could just split it in half, maybe. It might be easier, maybe for other people to visualize it, if the original wards in the epsilon and gamma areas are also shown. So you can like basically there'll be some. Maybe it might be nice to just see all the boundaries and redo them, adjust them slightly, so it all fits together, I guess.
All right, I can see that because for this version of the map, I decided to not adjust anything and see how that would kind of work out.
Yep.
Just because, like, in some areas, it could be an issue for some people.
Yep, that's fair. Like, because that would mean maybe.
But, like,
I don't think we name roads or anything, but
like for Ward 6 and 7, it's like the epsilon just like kind of just like goes along that like straight line of biome boundaries. That's like in the like between like the savannah and the desert, because there's like kind of like a straight line. And I thought that would be a pretty good boundary at the time.
So are we saying do it again with the map with the other one for context?
I think it'll help to. That's my suggestion. I think it'll help to see if there are any adjustments.
Do you think it would be worth delaying the map for GSM over?
Compared to the lakes, I don't think this is quite as urgent because I don't see. Well, I might eat my words here, but I don't foresee a road proposal coming out anytime soon into Zeta. But you never know.
Is that a
You never
challenge?
know.
Someone will say.
Yeah, Kitty says that if a road's going to be proposed, it has to go through the next GSM anyway. So, and because roads get handled after community issues, like if we needed to renumber it, we can. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So Vicky, in that case, Vicky, if you could update the map to have the old wards on there as well, and then that way we can see all the contextual stuff and go from there.
What I'd probably do is, assuming this migration happens by next GSM, I could just base it off of that map, and it'd be basically the final map, unless if we make any changes.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'll be using a clean Zetadyne map anyway for the lake stuff. So.
All right, so this one's deferred as well.
Yes. Okay. Any objections for deferring before we move on to 5D?
Nope.
I'm fine and deferring.
Going once, going twice. Open TTD, Frumple.
Okay, I'll try to go through this one quickly. The rules on there are pretty much what I proposed when the service started, though they're not formally the rules. The topic is here to just formally approve of. One thing I will note is the last rule in there is crossed off because I don't think it's particularly necessary anymore. The hype and popularity of the server has died down. There are only, I think, 5 companies versus before when the server was pretty much full. So I don't think there's any need for admins to really babysit and destroy any poor performing companies anymore. All the other rules will be in place. There's also some less rules, but more guidelines of what happens with the server. The current plan is still to reset the map roughly maybe every 2 weeks, just to keep things fresh. I'm hoping that the server will still at least be used by some people. I don't want to get to a point where it's not used by anyone, because then it's kind of like me putting in the work to reset the map is kind of pointless at that point. So, yeah, if you have any objections about any of the rules or questions, now is the time to ask. I'm open to any sort of feedback. And no one says anything, which kind of does reflect, I don't think many people are playing on the OpenTT server. So
I've been meaning to play. I've just either been too busy or forgot about it.
I think they're definitely, yeah, that's part of the reason. The other reason I think is a lot of people who are playing, it's kind of one of those games where you play really intensely and get kind of addicted to it for a few weeks and then you get bored. So maybe people will come back to it or when they get less busy, but at the moment it's not terribly popular right now.
But yeah, like I've looked over the rules and generally they look pretty just good.
They look reasonable enough.
Okay. Might actually stick these on the rules page. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, I mean it's still like part of the MRT, even if it's not in Minecraft.
Yeah, I mean it's an official service of ours. Might as well.
Also, I have updated the town list for Larks.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
I guess approved then.
Guess yeah, approved.
Okay.
Okay. Relaxing the gambling rules, 5E.
Well, hold on. It's not exactly relaxing the gambling rules. It is a clarification.
Okay.
So to reiterate, in the July 2018 GSM, there was a proposal from LD where he wanted to set up some sort of company that would basically engage in gambling activities on the server. From what I understand, it was mainly around betting on sports events or events happening on the server. We said no to this, and explicitly the rule says in the rules page, it says companies that facilitate gambling or betting are not allowed. But I think people also took they thought that also implied a full-on ban on gambling, which is not exactly in the rules.
I thought you said that there when we implemented the rule. So I thought that came from you. That I mean, not to like put you on the spot here, but I thought that interpretation did come from. I mean, somewhat one of the staff saying that.
It probably was my fault. That's probably what I conveyed, but what the rule says doesn't match what I said.
If you look at the original website post on that rule, it very much seems to be geared more towards sports gambling, which is
Yeah.
what I think LD's company proposal was primarily based around. And our reasoning for not wanting to allow that is, what if you have people just like throwing the Amazing Race or something? Like,
Yeah, there's that. I think the other one was it is also gambling that's not in control of the staff. So I mean, admins can read the logs and look at what people pay and all that, but I can see that getting out a lot of hand if there's like a lot of conflicts around, I paid this amount of money, but I didn't get paid back or something like that. So the reason I bring this rule up, and some staff are aware of this, is apparently on Mumble, there's been interest in playing poker games, using in-game money to bet on it, and there's not. I don't see any. I personally participate in this. I'll admit that. I think it's not really large amounts of money. Like I think the stakes are like $10 or $100 at most. And to ensure that the money is being paid out or taken away properly, there is usually an admin or myself on there they'll basically do eco take or give to make sure there's no cheating or mispayment going on there. So that's basically what I'm proposing here. I would like to change the rule, the gambling rule. Instead of saying companies are not allowed, we'll make it very explicit to say that gambling is allowed in two specific instances. The first one is if there's an administrator who can actively monitor what's happening. So if it's a real-time game like poker, then having an admin there to just keep track of everything and make sure no one's getting shafted. I think that should be allowed. The other situation is what's already on the server, the lottery plugin. If a plugin can basically provide an automated process to do gambling, that'll also be allowed. So that is what I'm proposing to change here.
I mean,
I think.
I don't think. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the only potential, like the main burden that I could see is, obviously, like I think having the admins run that is fine because we're the ones with console and log access and all that. But I think the question that I have then is how would we control like events being initiated so that it's basically my concern is, well, my concern would be if people are like, if there's no admin around and people are going and bugging admins like, can you do this like right now? And I mean, because it basically would, well, I'm just saying that manning that kind of thing usually requires, if it's a manual one, like an admin would have to be actively involved.
Yeah.
So
I would say if it's some sort of event that a non-staff is running, or non-admin is running, I should say, probably they should make a GSM proposal, like just like any other event. And if it can say in there this we'd like to request the presence of an admin to monitor that. I think that's fine. I don't really foresee people harassing admins all the time to do that sort of stuff.
Okay.
But I think it's important that there is an admin there. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, but I could be wrong. Like this could open the gates and people will just harass us wherever.
Well, please don't. Okay.
Not really seeing much opinions from public chat about this. I don't know about you.
I think they're all distracted by our place.
It's looking pretty good. Oh,
I like the rules. I think the rules that you suggested are pretty good. I have really no objections. And yeah, I think like most of the time I'm sorry for interrupting. I think most of the time that gambling is done, I'd imagine it'd probably be like Yoshi and everyone over Mumble, and once again Yoshi's there, so you could do the eco commands.
Yeah.
We've done it several times already, so it's worked pretty well for us.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if our place was a good idea because they seem just more distracted, so not really. I worry if they're not considering the topic seriously enough. But
well, I don't think this is a controversial topic. To be fair.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think
if it was more controversial, I think people would stick their heads out.
I think yeah.
People in chat are saying they don't care. Let's move on.
No, I think this is a brilliant idea, actually, to quell the masses.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, 5F.
So approved on that one? Then?
Approved.
Yeah,
I was expecting more debate on it, but okay.
No, I think it's fine. 5F.
My last topic here is, Yoshi brought this up, and I was okay. Yoshi technically has.
I'm a criminal.
No, you're not.
Yoshi's a criminal.
Yoshi deletes the taxes anyway.
In running the Amazing Race, he does have to make modifications to towns, and I was made aware that he doesn't technically get permission from the town owners to do it, and it's apparently it's been implied that this is okay as long as it's done for the event, and also Yoshi cleans up afterward, which he does. So the thing is, there's no formal rule around it, and I think I'd like to make that formalized, not just for Yoshi, but also for other event owners that might do something similar. I mean, Amazing Glitch is a good example, but I mean, if they decide to want to run an event that goes across a server, like the Amazing Race, we want to make it clear what's allowed or what's not allowed. So this rule basically states that any event organizers, they will be authorized, if they need it, to make any minimal additions or changes to another person's build or town, as long as they clean up after themselves and they restore everything to what it was before. Minimal additions is defined as decorations, banners, signs, and also small temporary builds, vehicles, some maybe small buildings, tents, that sort of thing.
Question. Question, which is, for example, yesterday in Dead Bush, one of the challenges was like a huge race course that just kind of placed it on top of the racetrack. That technically isn't counted as a minimal addition because it is quite big, right? So I'm wondering how would we define that? Because it is it is not breaking it, it's just placing on top, and it was cleaned up. So I'm wondering what would that be considered as?
My worry about bigger builds like that is there's a lot of like you could just remove it with set 0, but there's all these little entities that float around, and that could still could not be cleaned up very easily. I'd say I think you should be getting permission at least or from Mojang for something that big.
I mean, but the problem is if Yoshi did have to get permission from every town that he did that he did a large challenge in, that would effectively ruin the race, because now every town owner would know there's going to be a big challenge in my town.
But
And
there's
they
also
would know where
but
it's
the other
going
side
to
is
be.
also respecting, again, because technically what Yoshi's been doing is it falls under the griefing rule, right? And to have an admin just go around do that without permission is kind of, it's not really fair to, right? So
I mean,
Yeah.
I do get that, but I do think that we have to acknowledge that if we do make a rule like this, that kind of does mean like effectively the end of the Amazing Race as it is, at least, because
I
Yoshi would have to find a
don't-
way to organize it that he would either have to use like only his own land or come up with some creative way to get permission that doesn't completely give
Yoshi,
away the competition.
would you agree with that? Because I don't think that's
I have
that.
to agree, because the thing is, I can understand if it's people not racing. That's a little more lenient. I can understand that. But there are a lot of people who are racing own some of the biggest towns of the server. Echo owns Sunshine Coast, Little Shadow owns Arcadia, my mom owns Electa Bay. I can't let those people know, like, hey, we're gonna go to your town, because that does give them a while
Yeah,
it
that
already
just
does
ruins it.
yeah, while it does already give them an advantage, it is their town. It does let them know, like, hey, I should be prepared to know my shit about where I'm going and stuff like that. I can definitely understand the concern, because I can see where it is a big problem, and it becomes that. But I think if we say that, like, because, like, for example, when there's like the pig racing one, I'll use the same example. It wasn't deleting anything. It was only adding things, and it was made sure to be cleaned up. All the pigs were cleaned up. Everything was nothing broken. And I think if we note that even if it's large, it must be, it can't delete anything. It only adds things, and that it's cleaned up completely, including entities. I believe it should be fine.
So are you proposing to change this rule then? This proposal?
Yes.
Okay. So how would it be worded then?
I would say you can keep the minimal editions, and then you could say another one which says for larger editions, adding other blocks, or adding a large thing, adding a large change, making a large change is allowed on the circumstances that there is no destruction of any current infrastructure, and it is fully cleaned up after the fact. And you can also specify a time frame if that also makes more comfortable, because I think like 24 hours, 48 hours, something like that, I think should be fine as well. Because like for Wipeout's thing with like the 20 days of Christmas, because it was going to be there for possibly more than like, for like 24 hours, which is longer than Tara's, which is like maybe an hour or two, he got permission for those people. So maybe a time frame would also be helpful, because then you can say like, hey, this is here for longer, and they'll be like, oh, that's my bad or something. So then like what's actually griefing versus what's not griefing.
I would say, I mean, it has to be connected to an event. Is one thing.
So so we're saying it has to be a staff approved event, like they have to do that.
No, because unofficial events are very much a thing.
Yeah.
But or like not staff sanctioned events are a thing. I mean, anyone can organize them. But like,
okay, maybe I did not make that clear, but I did not make this clear in the rule. But my intention was it should, if you're intending to make changes, you should, even if you're not asking for funding, you should still be asking, or at least letting us know. Letting the staff know.
I really disagree with that, because
hang on.
People can hold stuff spontaneously, and then maybe like for like a little hour thing. Oh, I'm gonna put down a little map here and meet people. Does that break the rule? If I just put down a little chest for someone to go to in a town for like a little thing that's gonna happen for half an hour, does that break the rule? Like, I don't even want to cross that line, because that seems like a really touchy thing, and I'm like, that seems to me fine. I wouldn't feel comfortable giving people warnings if they were doing that, if that was a rule, because I don't think that's a rule we should have in that sense.
Yeah, I agree with Commandment in the sense that, for example, like the not event challenge, which is like a thing that Kitty does, spontaneously, and like, it's just like a small van. Yeah, it's like a small van. So like it's like, it doesn't really harm me. And then he always makes sure to clean it up after. And he doesn't like break anything. He just like, places the small thing down.
Okay, again, I'm going to go this from the other side. If someone sees they have a town and they don't want anybody touching it, like this is not really respecting their build. I can see.
Well,
Like
if they don't want anyone touching it, then they could tell the person to not, and then.
So it's
if
really
they
a
don't
difference
respect
between do you
that-
want to be preventative or reactive to this? Because the one hand we could be preventive and say no, there needs to be some things in place before you can put the build there.
Right. Well,
Or reactive. Hold on, let me finish. Reactive, where, and that's actually the last part of this rule, which I didn't get to, is if the person finds out that there is a, I don't know, like a non-event in there, and they say no, then the event organizer must respect that wish, and they have to remove it immediately.
I think being more reactive, I think it'd be more beneficial, because I think if we put too much red tape in place beforehand without even knowing what actually will happen, it'll cause less events to be made. And I think that was an issue that we didn't want to happen, especially when we talked about how we gave out funding. We don't want to discourage events.
Okay.
We do want to respect, obviously, the people who built the towns, and we don't want people to grief them at all. But I think we can all have a reasonable amount of hopefully trust our members in that if it is a continual pattern where someone keeps doing it and like they were told to stop, then I think a warning's in place. But I think if someone is told to stop, I'd like to believe that they'd be like, okay, I will stop. And if not, then we can take further action.
Okay. I'm gonna throw
Also, I have another point
Go
to make on that.
Okay, go ahead.
Like out of the 9.5 basically tar seasons we've had, out of the 9 mole seasons we've had, out of the amazing glitch, out of all the hundreds of not van challenges that have probably been hidden and cleaned up, how many people have actually complained about this?
That's a fair point.
Like I feel like being proactive about the problem.
I think it's more of like I don't think I've heard of anyone who, like,
Robin is saying people have complained, but I'm not sure.
We have not heard of it.
I've never heard of this before. I'm not gonna. I haven't.
If people are complaining, then they're just complaining passively, and we don't know when we're seeing stuff in random channels. We don't know whether you actually are taking issue. Like, you need to tell us directly.
I have a question for all the people listening on public. Do you agree with Mindman's statement here? Do you think that people, or Chief's statement, like too, like if are people, do you think this is have been passively complaining, or is this not? Do you think this is not an issue? I'd like more opinions other than Robin and Kitty here, because there seems to be some we don't know here.
I personally have never seen a person complain about a challenge.
A lot of chat right now. Yeah, a lot of chat right now is saying it's a non-issue.
Okay.
Yeah, from a personal perspective, I'm happy for my city to be used as a. I'm happy for my city to be used in events because it highlights it. It gives it the spotlight.
Sure,
I think
that's a fair opinion to have, but again, not everyone may. I'm wondering if not everyone shares that opinion.
I haven't seen.
I've seen people. I'm coming from a place where I've seen people before on the server be pretty touchy about their builds, so I just want to make sure that's not happening. I will.
Go ahead.
There's one curveball I want to also throw in here. If we're going to allow people to they don't need approval, and they just, this is for unofficial events. How do we know that it's an event, or they're just using as a, I guess, how do you say this? They're trying to mask it like as griefing.
I think that's what we've had a time limit. Like I said, if we have like, hey, like, it is maybe like for non like specific events, you can say 24 hours, like maybe like a non-event, or like 48 hours. I think 48 hours is good. And for like anything that's more, you can send a GSM proposal for that.
Okay.
I would say
I agree with that.
I don't even see the point in this rule, to be honest, because everyone in chat unanimously said they'd be fine with this. And yes, I know that's not representative of everyone on the MRT, but I feel like with the sample size of it we're having a GSM right now, everyone can hear there's been no dissent to that statement. I feel like this, I don't know, I just feel like this is being really way too reactive over an issue I just have never even encountered.
I will explain why this rule is here, because someone, I don't exactly remember who it was, but Yoshi, seeing how Yoshi was able to because it's been implicitly accepted that this sort of thing is allowed. There's another event organizer who was asking, is this really allowed? It's not in the rules. I don't know. Like
Yeah,
they're kind of worried that if it's griefing or not. And I think it's worth, we should write it down so that other event owners know what is allowed and not. Because if we don't have the rule, then it's just another gray area, right?
Yeah, I think it's better to just say, yes, this is allowed and we're making it officially a thing, because I don't think that staff privilege is enough of a reason to let that happen.
Yeah, but it hasn't
think
been staff privilege before, because Kitty's used such privileges for the Not a Van challenges, had no consequences for it, and that's been going on for how many years now?
Yeah,
I think the thing,
like there is no staff privilege with that.
It's not a case of staff privilege. I don't think it's.
No, that's probably a bad.
I'm just saying the argument about staff privileges is null and void in this topic.
However, I think it's still worth just saying, if you are a new member and you're coming along, you're reading the rules and trying to follow them to the letter, then you see people going off and doing something that's contrary, and you're like, huh? So I think it's still a fair question. I think when it comes to actually writing this edition, I think if we say a really good test is it either on the events calendar, or is it like an ongoing thing like the Not a Van challenge? Because those are like major events are going to be on the events calendar, or they should be. And then like ongoing things like the Not a Van challenge, those have wiki pages to document them, and like they're well known in the community, and like you can tell that it's something that is meant to be going on for a while. And I think like those are when this would kick in. And then one thing that I was going to say, just while we were talking about some of the like larger stuff, is if you're adding in a completely self-contained build, and again, it's self-contained and it's temporary, then it's not a huge issue, again, as long as you clean it up. Because if it's completely self-contained, how to fix it, set 0. So
I'm confused about what the point you're trying to make is.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused too.
That was a different point, but
yeah, I know, but
back several points ago, when we were talking about large buildings.
I'm confused by your point too, Chief. But
Okay.
yeah, sorry. My man, do you get my point though regarding like new players?
I understand you this as a rule. My point is that like I think having this as a rule is and in the current state of the server, I think an issue that we really should not be debating. B, the consequence of it could be basically like could shut down a lot of like events that aren't documented, that like never have caused an issue on the server previously before. And C, I think is if for big events that probably will never stop, like, well, I mean, they might stop eventually, but like big events that I could see continuing like TAR would really put red tapes on what Yoshi can actually do with them. Or
But-
what Cody could do with
hold
like
on,
the
hold on.
glitch or stuff like that.
Can I bring something?
Well, let me just jump in here. We can rewrite this rule at the proposal. I've already actually done it on the agenda right now. I've got rid of the small wording for temporary builds. So it just says temporary builds.
Okay.
And it now says that anything that only exists to a maximum of 24 hours. So large builds would be allowed in this case.
Okay, then
yeah. So we can adjust the rule. It's just that I want to be able to allow the large events. It just needs to be, I just want it written down somewhere. Anyway, Yoshi, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say like I think the problem is like because if we make the rule I think pretty big or like pretty freeing, I think it won't like do that much bad. But if we do like try to be as specific as possible, it's going to really hurt a lot of events. I think especially events that do require like quick placements, like here for like an hour, here for like an hour, because then but I think if we go ahead, Castle.
Well, I just want to be, because I did kind of have to start out for a minute. So are we still saying event organizer is someone who has proposed and received approval for an event to the GSM?
I think we're gonna say no. They don't need a.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to read the thing.
Yeah, I think the only change that I would make to the proposed rule is say that if a town owner wants to just have a blanket opt-out and just say that they don't want events to go there at all without permission, they should be able to do that.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Captain
I
Or
Obi
just have a
keeps
standing
saying,
opt-out.
bringing up in chat like an opt-in, opt-out system.
Yeah, I think if we said that it's okay by default, but we would need to allow some kind of blanket opt-out. Alfie suggests doing it on the wiki page. I think that's a good start. We would also want.
Well,
I
okay,
would think you would need
no.
to have a staff organized system if you're going to do that.
I would say it's a
because
start.
Otherwise, if anyone can just like change it at a whim, it's kind of
You
But
can.
The wiki is
the edit history.
officially
The wiki
you
tracks
can-
changes. So yeah, if that's changed by someone who's not the town mayor, then like, that doesn't count.
I think it should be on like on our staff docs, the member list. We can, or not the member, the town list. sorry.
Town list.
Yeah, then we can
just add a
put in
column.
something or a note or something that says this person does not want anybody putting events through their town. The wiki is a good. I think it's still useful. I think they should still try to do it just to communicate it to other players, right? Because that's where most people would look, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I would
I
say.
know, but if it
Okay, I have an
if
issue
it's
with this.
something that we are serious about giving warnings about, I think we do need an official like is or is not.
Yeah, so that
I have
would be a
clarification.
column in the town list spreadsheet.
Is it a thing that like, is it only for like, oh, I want to opt out of certain events, or is it like I want to opt out of all events? Like how would we go about that?
I would say any unauthorized changes at all.
I would say it would be a blanket. It would be just a straight yes no of if you're opting out, you're opting out of everything.
And I think if we do want to put that, or like have that, like if we do want to like say, hey, this is what you're opting out of, I think we want to be specific, because if we say you're opting out of any unauthorized changes, that does make it seem like you're just like making sure no griefing is happening. I think you want to specify.
Yeah, like that statement is very.
I would say you want to specify.
You're opting out of temporary changes made by other players for the purposes of events.
Hold on. We have the griefing rule. That's in place everywhere by default.
Yeah.
So
but it sounds very anti-griefing. Like but
that matches the rule that we
like
have.
events.
Well, I think the concern we're bringing up is saying like it does, like we do have the grief rule, but it's saying like while it is the grief rule, it just seems like maybe like I'm saying it's not clear, so it seems like it might not be related to events. Like it might just be like, oh, just like a second layer of like just making sure there's no griefing or whatever.
I'm gonna be honest. If we do it, make it sound like with events, that's more of a gray area, because people could argue, oh, it was for an event or it wasn't. If you just say, just straight up, I don't want anyone touching my town for any reason, I feel like that's an easier hard line for us to enforce, to really understand that this person doesn't want any sort of changes at all, even temporary ones. Like that's it. In my opinion, I feel like that's easier to deal with.
But there's two issues I think I might have with that, which is if you say one saying like if you do say that while it does like I think sound good on paper, you don't like people who may sign up for that don't know all the repercussions about what that might have. In that like, oh, like let's say like, oh, I just signed up for just because I thought that it would just like to make sure no one edited, but I thought like, oh, I didn't know events would come with it because like I want those, so then like I think at least if we clarify like, hey, you will also be affected by X, Y, and Z, I think it would make it clear. I just don't want to be ambiguous on what it means.
I think what we would want to do is in the documentation on the website or wherever we explain what the process is, that just say, warning, you are accepting the consequences that events will not go to your town.
Well, I mean, if the documentation is under this rule, I think it should be clear enough.
It should.
Under the events section.
This would probably also be copied as a subheading of the griefing section of the griefing rules.
To be fair to Mindman's case, the whole opt-out thing may not. It's very possible no one will opt out, right? I think it's very possible.
So you're saying that's more of a cross that bridge if we get to it kind of thing?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Because maybe just the rule as it is fine. If someone is, because some person really is very adamant about it, then it might be a case by case basis, but then we'll let the event organizers know, or let everyone know that okay, this person doesn't want it.
I mean, I also think I'm wondering.
So are we
This
are
all
we going to make the town list public then? Or
No, Castle. I think
what?
it would be
well,
there's two parts to it. One is we would need to keep track of it for our own records. The other part is we would like to encourage town owners to use the wiki to communicate if they are opting out.
Okay. Hold on. The single source of truth of whether they want to opt out is the town list. I want to make that very clear. The wiki is recommended to let other people. That's the best way to let other people know. Does that make sense? Can we just make that clear right now?
I do also want to ask: is there? I would say again, are we installing this now, or are we saying like we should see if there's anyone who actually actually has this issue? Because again, I haven't heard from anyone who actually has had issues with events going putting things in their town. I know Robin said that he's heard of them, but I've personally never heard of them, and I haven't heard any complaints. I don't think anyone else in this moment channel has raised any of those things either.
Well, what exactly are you talking about, Yoshi? Like what?
Well, because I feel like at this point we're kind of making this a bigger issue than it is. Because I think the rule was the one that we have in the agenda is fine. I think having a spreadsheet might just be like that's a little I don't know. I don't think it's necessary because there hasn't been anyone who's raised the issue like, hey, I don't want any of this.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm proposing. Actually, Chief, the part that you're adding, we don't need that.
Okay.
Well, it's just I'm saying let's deal with that particular part of this. Like, hold on. So the rest of the rule that you see right now without the addition, are people okay with that part? Let's just start from there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm okay.
that seems fine.
Okay. So if someone wants to opt out or just request to staff, or they'll read the rule and say, oh, I don't want events happening at all, then they can ask staff, and then we'll address it at that point. You're right. It's possible that no one will ever opt out, but it's something to consider. I think we've considered it. It may not happen, but it might. It's just so we don't know. So I think just leaving the rule as it is written right now is good enough for now. It at least tells any new or event organizers what is allowed and what isn't.
Okay.
So which is the original intent of the rule.
yeah, I'm sorry. I just brought that up again because I saw Chief writing it down on the document.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm.
I don't know if okay. I was kind of thinking that this was probably the most controversial rule thing. So any other concerns from the public or staff before we probably put a rubber stamp on this?
I have no concerns.
I think as it's written now, that's fine.
I think this works.
Yeah, and I think if we need to amend it later, we will do that. And I have a feeling this rule is. I don't think it'll be really broken or anything like that. Honestly,
In a way, this is taking an implicit thing, turning into an explicit thing, just making it like really clear to other people. Yeah, because apparently it wasn't. So.
Frumple, you've been placed in jail.
I understand that. I deserve. Okay. Approve?
I think approved as written.
As written.
Okay. Yoshi.
Hi.
Boats.
Oh yes. So I think everyone knows that on Diamond can clearly see there's some fleets of boats in the ocean that existed. Currently there's some near northern AT, such as the marina. There's some in the south, in the lake next to the southern line. There's some next to Verdante in the north. The reason I bring this up is just to make sure, like, hey, we have some of these rules established for when we get to Zeta, because I know there's gonna be a lot more water area. The issue I see with this topic is just kind of these boats being placed wherever and possibly not, and possibly because it might not be considered a claim, that people don't get the right permissions to do so, and like and the question is like, oh, can I build near this? And the reason I bring this up is just because like I think in the past Tom might have violated some rules in this, because there's like with the boats near the outer field of Verdantium, I don't know if he got permission for those. For the submarine within 100 blocks of Mason City, I know he didn't get permission for that. So it's just I at least want to put this out there to address this, to say like we need to make sure like this doesn't happen, so people do have their builds respected and their land respected.
Question for you, Yoshi. Did you notify Tom about this?
I notified Tom, but he did not give me a response.
Okay, that's unfortunate.
So I don't know about the Verdantium area. You'll have to ask Mossy or Chimpy about that. I don't think any of them are on right now. And the Alafriel, I think that's owned by 24 dude. I forget who owns Alafriel, but I know the submarine, which was built within 100 area of the airport, that wasn't.
But it's right here.
Yeah, Cass can tell you more about that because he was building the airport at the time, and he kind of just saw a submarine.
Yeah, and I told Alfie about it, and he's like, "Oh, it's that." And I don't have any core protect add on it, but when it was built, I'm pretty sure it was when Mason City was inactive, so there's really no way he could have gotten permission.
And I don't mean this to like be like stop building your boats. It's more just being like, hey, we have rules. It's just kind of a reminder for Tom, but also anybody else who wants to build boats and like fleets in the random middle of the ocean.
Okay, so you're saying that that you want to just make it clear that the water that there is a sovereign territory thing, and that the 300 and 500 block rules do apply to those boats. Yes.
Well, 300, 500 blocks apply to the cities of which the boats are placed next to. Because I'm not sure if like Tom has asked those people or not. For the submarine, we know he hasn't, but I'm not sure about other things.
Yeah, because I'm not sure we want to say the 300, 500 block rule applies in a way where if someone puts a boat in the middle of the lake, they now own the lake. That seems like
it's not. It's not town.
What I was thinking was like how much of exclusive zone does the town have, not the boat?
It should probably include both land and water, essentially.
Yeah. Okay.
Based on what Yoshi's proposed.
Yeah. Okay. And then. Okay.
How much we've grown. We're getting into like exclusive economic zones, fishing right.
Taxes. Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to bring up about this was because so many oceans will be new. Are we gonna let people like, hey, you can't just like place like 5 different fleets of boats in the town? Like, should we have a limit on like this? Because I feel like it could be an issue when you place them all over the Zeta, and then like, oh, I want to build a town here like with a nice coastline, but suddenly there's a whole fleet of boats. And I don't know, because I think I should at least make sure like we don't just have these fleets put everywhere, because I could see that.
Is it mainly Tom that builds boats, like, or is
Tom's the only one that I've seen that's the major like one? I don't.
I think the specific issue is boats not associated with a town.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so the only other place I know of where you have a boat that's just flat out not associated with the ones in the middle of like the Whitechapel Lake, and those have been there for basically ever. So I'm assuming there was some kind of an approval process there, but I don't know because that's been there since like original New World.
So I agree. So I agree with this rule. My concern is I don't know if Tom has actually given it a good read over of what it entails. So I'm a little worried that if we try to make this rule without his at least consultation, since he's the major person building all the boats everywhere, that might not be fair on him. So,
do we have text of what the proposed rule would read?
I don't think it's not changing any rules, I don't think. Well, the only rule we'd add is possibly maybe just limiting boats, which could be like fleets of boats not connected to a town, maybe are limited something.
Actually, I can see maybe in the 300 500 rule we just add a little thing that also says it applies to land and water.
Yeah.
I don't think just to make it really clear.
In terms of
Yeah.
where a city's exclusive zones are, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think the second issue is on Zeta. You will have lakes that are not within the distance of any town. So do we want to allow people to just go and build a fleet of boats in the middle of the ocean?
Yeah, because when Zeta opens, there will be no towns, so it's technically fair game.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, maybe we should specify like, hey, have a limit on these because like you might be blocking someone's area to build.
Yeah, I know I wouldn't be too happy if I came on and someone had already pasted like a fleet of boats in an area that I was looking at.
What if we said that boats not connected to a town, like, that aren't a part of a ferry company or something, boats that are just sitting out in the middle of the lake, that they should assume that the entire lake is claimed and therefore need to be at least 300 blocks in the water?
I feel like that's a bit picky though.
I think the main concern is just boats in Zeta, right? Just anywhere.
Do we want people to be able to essentially do what Tom has done with his fleets of boats on the server? Do we want that to continue?
Any thoughts of what kind of limit that would be? Would that be like just a ban on them until a certain amount of time, or a number of boats? Like how? I'm not sure.
I really wish Tom was just giving his input on this, but
yeah. We could just say maybe a ban until Tom can reply, or until the next GSM, because I feel like we need his input here. So,
yeah. That's probably the least disruptive way to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the official thing so we can have it like in clear?
No boats in the middle of Zeta Lakes until we get this sorted.
We're essentially deferring the topic. So we're deferring both parts of the topic. The first one, the 300, 500 thing, just make sure Tom's okay with that, if he has any other input on it. And the other part is just putting boats in Zeta.
I mean, I don't know if we necessarily should defer the 300, 500 thing, because I think that isn't. I think
that's
that
a
in
rule.
itself really is an issue. Like you should not just be able to go and build a boat next to a town.
Yeah,
because
that's
it's
true.
Well, the thing is, Tom did it anyway, which might mean, I don't know Tom, but I'm guessing that maybe he interpreted the 300, 500 rule differently from everyone else, right?
I'm not. The reason I say I'm not sure about that is because I think Cal's gonna test this when he was told about the submarine near New Woodbury. What happened with that, Castle?
He basically just said, "Oh, I noticed that there was a town there." Like,
I guess my point is the rule as written right now is not. Castle died. Uh-oh. Go ahead and do it.
Continue. Just continue.
The rule. I can see a possibility that because the rule wasn't explicitly said anything about water, someone might have interpreted as it doesn't apply. I'm not sure if that's how Tom interpreted, but I'm saying it's possible. So you have to ask Tom what he thinks about that before we can say.
But I would say that in general, we should assume that the 300, 500 does include water.
Yeah, I don't know.
I agree with that.
I don't see why you wouldn't though. That's the thing. I can understand but I don't see what with everything that's happened over. I think with especially the time that. I mean, not to call him out because I mean he is kind of the only person that's applicable here. But I don't see a reasonable way for him who's been on the server for that long to misconstrue the rule like this.
No, I don't agree with that. I can see someone maybe misinterpreting it. I can see. It doesn't say anything about water.
Well, no, I can see someone misinterpret that. I agree, maybe like a new person, but for
no, I could see Tom interpret again. Even though someone might be on the server, they might have been because the rule is not explicit about it. They could have just assumed that the rule that it was okay to do it, and also I should mention no one ever told him not to build the boats up to this point. So there is sort of this.
There is a reason for that, which is that
Okay.
because the die map got rendered so infrequently, you don't really see them until they've been there for like 1,000 hours. But
sure, that's a reason, but also because no one told him, he might have assumed that that's okay. Again, we're kind of speculating here. We need to talk to Tom. I think that's the
Yeah.
the deal. So,
but I still do believe that the three, at least we should like this doesn't really add anything. We should just just solidify that the 300 500 block rule does include water. Well, the decision of what will happen to the ships that exist currently is still to be determined, but we should specify like.
No, what I'm saying is let's not determine them at all, because I want to see how Tom was interpreting the rule. I want to see.
Oh no! I that's why I'm agreeing that we shouldn't do anything about the boats and like about. I'm just saying like for future like people who do want to like build stuff on the ocean, we from now we should say you should ask the person, because like I think we all agree that, because I think everyone here agrees that it should include water. We're not gonna.
I agree with that, but there's going to be a conversation with Tom afterward that you'll find out that he's violating this rule. So I don't know if I'd feel comfortable jumping it on him without actually talking.
But I think the issue is if we do anything less than that, at this point, now that we've discussed this, we're kind of inviting problems if we're saying under the current rules, that's okay.
Well, I think the more thing
I feel like you guys are missing my point, but yeah.
No, I think the thing I'm more saying is like, I'm not saying like, oh, if we put this rule into place and then we say, oh, Tom, you're violating, we're gonna get you a warning or whatever. I'm just saying more. We'll say Tom's situation is completely separate. It's an issue we'll deal with later. We're gonna just say like, let's say that he did misinterpret the rule wrong. That's fine. Maybe we'll grandfather it in, so it's fine, right? But I'm saying for future people who do who do maybe want to build ships, this is a rule that they have to follow. Like Tom's situation, we're gonna keep it separate. We're not even gonna deal with this rule. We're gonna think it's separate. It's just saying this is for future ones. For Tom's, we're just gonna think of it as separate. So I'm saying like if we do say Tom, do think that Tom did not did it, maybe he did know the rule, but he did it anyway. We're gonna. I don't know how to word this, but I don't know if I'm making sense here.
Because I guess my issue is, if this isn't a rule, right, there's nothing conceivably, because for example, right, you have the lake that as an example, you have the lake that's almost completely surrounded by AT, Covina, and Airchester. Conceivably, if this is not a rule, there is nothing stopping someone from going into that lake and building a boat right next to all of those towns, or a fleet of boats right next to all of those towns at this moment in time.
Okay, now I can see that.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it was not necessarily that we're saying like Tom is in the wrong automatically. We're just saying like this is just for future people for now.
Okay. If you want, I get you. I get your point of the Yoshi separating it. If you want to separate it into a different situation, then sure, yes. For any new people, then I agree with the rule. It's just I was under the impression that we'd be jumping on Tom without.
Oh no.
Imposing it on Tom.
Well, I know. I mean, I think we should treat it similar to how we've treated rule revisions in the past, where we don't do. We don't do I forget what the word is, but essentially we don't enforce it after the fact with
retroactively.
And we only do that on like kind of only like one-off things. If we only did that with, for example, like the 6 limit warp on like planes. That's the only thing I think we've done it on. Mm-hmm. That's a major difference. Otherwise, things have been grandfathered.
Okay.
I would think put this in for like the new people who want to build boats, but otherwise, I think we just have to talk to Tom to get more information before anything else.
Yeah. Okay, I'm okay with this. So to be clear, the 300-500 rule will be immediately taking into effect for land and water.
Yes.
The Zeta limiting, we don't. Well, wait. Yeah, no, we're banning any. But even with that, any new boats that are not related to a town on the Zeta portion of the map will not be allowed until we can get to Tom. Probably February, March GSM, whenever that happens. So
yeah.
So basically what we're saying is don't touch the Zeta Lakes right away.
Unless it's next to a town, and then you're trying to build seaplanes.
No, we just said no
You
seaplanes.
can't do. You can't no seaplane. I'm confused.
Just
what about what's the piece about?
Never
we
mind.
we said
We said no
seaplanes are
seaplanes
deferred.
too. I forgot about that too. So,
Yeah, that's why I'm like, just leave the lakes alone unless you're doing stuff within your town.
yes.
Okay. One more water related thing. All right, are we done with this one, or
I hate water.
I think we're done.
I hate water too.
Okay. Elite
Water, what has it ever done to us?
Elite Neon and seaplanes at the marina.
Honestly, I think this is a Tom 1-2. We have to wait for Tom to have a response because Tom is the marine.
Yeah, Tom owns the marina, I would say. I would agree.
And, yeah.
Deferred.
Do we even need to discuss this?
Which one?
5H.
The only thing I would say is just like I could be concerned about is like if you put that dock out there, it kind of blocks all the boats that kind of have the dock right before, depending on what you put there.
Right, but what I'm saying is, do you guys think that this needs to be looked at by staff again, or can we just give Tom full decision?
Because technically the marina is like a special administrative region, I guess is what we could so like I guess do we technically have the right to make a decision on that? I think we do.
Yeah,
I think we do. It's labeled Marimati Marina.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if it's for everybody, then yeah, then we do need to decide on it. Okay.
I think the intent of this proposal intent is to encourage seaplanes, but I think as soon as we approve Zeta seaplanes in the next GSM or something, this might not be necessary even, but that's just me.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's kick this to Tom and see. Okay, we need him for that.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Sorry, Elite. All right. So the rest is all roads, rails, and projects, which should be fairly quick. So. All right. Here we go. 7A. B road from Deadbush to Hampstead. It's a pretty short road.
It's mainly connecting to Architect 21 owns Hampstead. He's inactive, so that's why if he was active, then you wouldn't need to ask here. But
yeah,
I think that's why he's proposing. So
yep. Yeah, fine by me.
Yeah, I see nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
Okay.
As long as it's all fixed naturally. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Approved. 7B. 7B.
What is elite? Anyway, 7B.
So he's proposing two roads. He's the A53 and B531 are both new.
He says he has permission from all of the town.
What do you think?
And it looks like he's going to be tunneling under the mountains. That's kind of in the middle of it.
Pretty fair.
So yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay.
Okay, everyone fine with it?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Going once. Going twice. Approved. 7C, B600.
I mean, it's pretty much everything you see there.
Yeah, it's being in the Southwold region, it's a fairly simple thing that's just going to connect that over. We may need to adjust it slightly when the airport gets built, but we'll deal with that when one of us gets governor and we build the airport.
I mean, it's just a relatively simple road. See nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Approved?
Approved. Going once. Going twice. 7D.
Oh, actually, can we backpedal to 7A real quick? There's no name for the road.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just a B road.
Mojang's online. We can just tell them make up a number that's
Is he
not
online?
used.
Oh, yes.
He is. While that's happening, we can we can look at that.
It's in Ward 6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll start with.
Okay, well, he's working on that. We can move on.
7D.
High-speed
Yeah.
rail line.
One thing I forgot to ask.
63.
Okay, if that's available, go ahead and assign it.
One thing I forgot to ask Obi and Subway about this rail line is whether it's a. I'm assuming it's a warp rail line. It's not anything else.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I guess Obi could clarify. He's here. Is Obi actually here? No, he's not.
Was here just a little bit ago. Unfortunately, I think you probably just left.
Well, it does say he has all permissions from all of the town.
Yeah, I believe he does.
Yeah. My one concern perhaps is it's a big diagonal line across the landscape. It might be a bit scary.
Oh yeah. I didn't ask if it's underground or not.
I think it says
tunnel between city or Willow and Savage City, which is where is that? Well, it's just that's just the urban part in the southeast, I think.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
part will be tunnel, but I think the rest will be surface because Obi said he wanted to build a bridge above the high.
Okay. I mean, technically, it's still okay.
Nothing's really wrong with it. I think we just need to remind him to not land scar too much.
Okay. Everything good with that, I guess?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Someone tell Frumple to regen? What?
They're trying to do a thing involving the jail cell.
Okay. Well, I'll just let them do whatever. Okay. 7E.
B89 is taken.
So you need a new number.
The only reference to it on the wiki is on the MRT commuter alert page. It says it's under construction by Artie. Not sure where it is. It's somewhere.
Oh no, it's one of those.
Probably safe to use a different number just in case it is an actual road.
Yeah, just a different number. It's fine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, looks okay to me.
Yeah, we could probably just talk to Obi later and see if another number can be agreed.
Yeah, we can deal with the renumbering later.
Okay.
Alfie says it will go to New Woodbury. Or the original B89 will go to New Woodbury.
Okay. But that kind of implies it's a real road then. All right. Approved?
Approved, but needs a new number?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'm fine with that. Going once. Going twice. 8A. Gods wants to make some updates to the pig racing thing, which he owns.
He owns it. Why? Oh, because it's Old World. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Although I thought that Oh yeah, no, you're right. As
No.
we said, major changes need to get staff clearance for everything.
Correct. So
Yeah, I think looking at his proposal, it makes sense. I mean, I think he's just trying to update most of it. So
Yeah, most of it appears to just be like making stuff like have walls, so they're
yeah,
not just like floating structures.
yay, safety
And
updates.
people
you
could
need to be
fall off
OSHA
the pig race.
compliant.
People could fall off the pig race. That seems that's weird.
That's why I said safety updates
Yeah.
are probably good.
I haven't. No, this seems good. I don't see.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that's like really changed is the 400 meter dash.
Yeah, I think most of it's fine though. I mean, I don't see issue with it.
Right, approved.
Approved.
Approved. 8B, LD wants to have an exemption to seaplane things.
Immediately, I think it sets a bad precedent.
Well, no, because we said in the seaplane rules people can request exemptions, and this I think this falls within the rules.
Yeah, he is allowed to request an exemption.
I think I'm still on the same standpoint I was when we made that rule, which is if you didn't build in a major lake, then I think you don't have access to seaplanes. I think it's still because I think it's one of those things where it's like you chose to build there, you have to deal with what you're given. I know that may seem a bit harsh, but I think that's just
I do think it's a bit harsh, to be honest.
it's a bit harsh, but it's also I think the same way. For example, like someone who builds an island can't build that big of an airport because it'll be floating in the water, and like people who want to build like I want to build a bus here, but like it's again I chose an island in the middle of the ocean. Can't build a bus there because like there's not gonna be a road to the middle of the ocean. It's one of those things. I think it's like you kind of chose to build there, so you kind of deal with what you're given.
I guess
the thing
my
is,
question.
though,
Oh, go ahead.
The thing is, though, is that in this case, there is a long natural river with. I mean, he has done a little bit of terraforming to make the canal have proper walls, but like there is a long river, so it does make sense. Like in terms of the physics of seaplanes, like they could realistically land there.
I'm not worried about the physics. I'm more just discussing like the general like principle that we've had in in how we deal with what cities are able to do what, not necessarily whether it's actually logical or not.
So then, Yoshi, and I think that it makes sense to stick with that as the basis, but in this case, he's working in an area where he's got, again, partially by the way it was naturally generated, partially because he's done a little bit of enhancement work, is that he does have natural features that support it, or that support the seaplanes. So if you're going on that basis,
I'm not going on national basis. I'm
Okay.
going more on the base. I am going partially on national basis, but also more on the basis of the rules we've gone by. Is like for example, like people who like wanted seaplanes to not seaplanes, sorry, boats like to like possibly like you could build a canal there, but then again that's you have to like I don't know.
Here's another argument I'm going to put forward. What's the harm of allowing seaplanes here? I can see perhaps an argument that it sets a precedent, as AP mentioned, but the whole point of the exemption is to allow it for specific places where there is water bodies. It's just not the numbered ones.
The precedent would be, I think, that people would build a canal specifically to put seaplanes on it.
That one, yeah, no, that's a fair criticism, and
So I think that's where the argument comes from.
I would say if that happens and they request it, then we'll be a little bit more skeptical about it. But here, not so much. The rivers were already there. He worked on it.
Yeah, I think if we say no, if we just don't allow you to build a canal specifically to do seaplanes and like no man-made lakes,
which I mean, I know this. I don't we share this, but I think that's personally a fine stance because if we see for again people who don't have enough land to build airports, like we don't let them build huge blocks of airports on the ocean if they have an island.
I think we've already gone.
I'm agreeing with you.
We've already gone over this sort of topic where, yes, that's the way, that's what they've chosen. But again, I don't see the harm of letting. It's going to be unfair, regardless of where you build. It's based on where we have it. We did allow the exemption for the water bodies that weren't numbered, and I feel like this is one of those cases where I don't see an issue with not approving this.
I'm with Frumple in that I would like to allow this, and my rationale is that, again, the overwhelming majority of what was needed for the rivers was there naturally to begin with. Yes, LD did enhance them, but he didn't create the canals from scratch. And I think that given the circumstances of the geography, I'm okay allowing it. And I think that we've always said that we usually focus on the lakes, and partially because if there were any rivers that were wide enough that we would have seen them already, or any of the player-made canals to connect the lakes, those are already built. And I think, if we just kept with the same standard of don't build something specifically to put seaplanes there, I think that allowing it is still within the spirit of the rules.
I will say, I don't personally think my stat's going to change just because of how it's technically unfair for other people. But I mean, if the rest of you are on board with it, then I don't want to stop you going. I'm just one.
I'm actually going to go as far as to say, Yoshi, I think disallowing it would be against the spirit of the rules. Honestly, because if we say no to this, then we're going to say no to everything else, and that's.
Yeah, if we say no to this, then there's not really. If we say no to this, then the only point of having the exemption there would be if we missed a lake.
Well, again, that's what I'm saying. I personally don't agree with the exemption. That's why I have that position. But I'm saying if everyone else has that other position, I'm fine with it. I don't have the capacity to stop it.
Can I get some more opinions from staff or public here? I just want to say here,
I was originally for looser regulation of seaplanes, so.
I'm kind of neutral. I could definitely see Yoshi's argument. I could definitely see Frumple and Chief's argument. Because it's it is a river, and he did enhance it, and it would seem kind of weird and maybe some would argue impractical that there's seaplanes that far inland. But at the same time, he did enhance the river. And basically, if we deny this one, then the exemption part of the rules would have no point.
You got pinged. Who's pinged?
I'll let them
know.
Oh. This is not tar, by the way, for anyone watching.
We've all been eliminated from the race.
Except Yoshi, who is the race.
Apparently
read my comment. Read my Discord.
Okay. So based on the people who have responded in public chat and staff, it's looking like this is a yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Yoshi. You sound like you might be
no, that's fine.
alone on this. So
yeah. I do appreciate all the different conversation points. So.
Okay.
Okay. Then that is approved.
No IATs. I thought
that's the last agenda item.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
GSM is done.
So
besides the.
Yeah, so I'll just quick recap what we have going on, and then there's a secret thing that we'll get to in a second. So.
There's a secret thing?
You know what the secret thing is, Yoshi.
You should probably do the Q and you're going to do that after the Q.
That's not a secret.
Yeah, we'll do Q&A first.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Whatever. Okay. So quick recap of all the announcements from the GSM, and then we'll go into questions. From the private, Radiant Square was denied promotion to Premier. Larkspur was promoted. Also, Vicky, if you want to have a flag on Dynmap, send it over to the admins. We'll put it up.
Yeah, I'll do it after the GS.
Yeah, no rush.
I'll PM you the details about it, Vicky. Hold on.
Okay. Moderator nominations. There was one candidate who was approved and recommended for promotion. One moment, please, while I murder these fish. That. Anyway, so one moment. Could some staff please figure out who's spawning all this stuff and send them to spawn, please?
Who?
Someone is spawning a bunch of mobs, and it's very loud, and they need to be removed.
I think they're trying to flood me with puffer fishes.
Frumple, I would run.
I can't. I'm in a jail cell.
There.
/GM3.
Yeah. Okay, so one person was recommended for promotion. We will be asking them after all this stuff is done. So we'll get to that later. No redacted topics that we need to mention. Zeta migration. So we are. All right, I'm just gonna leave. So we are planning, or we are hoping to do the migration starting on the 1st. And it will take about 10 to 11 days to move everything over. Frumple will provide progress updates once a final schedule is determined. We're currently waiting on a couple plugins to sort a couple things out, and staff are actively testing a lot of stuff. So we will provide details once we get there. When we migrate, and only when we migrate, and once the migration is complete, should we begin promoting the server on serverless and whatnot. So don't do that just yet. We will get to them soon. And details of the purge and all that will happen. Frumple will post a whole big schedule on the website. So friendly reminder, please read the website because there's a lot of important information on there. Zeta 5B, Zeta Lakes. We will be numbering, we'll be giving official numbers to the Zeta Lakes once Dynmap render is finished. So we'll be opening seaplane construction on those lakes at the February GSM, or if Zeta migration isn't done by then whatever the first GSM is. And we'll be accepting name submissions beginning at the March GSM. So because at the current schedule, because Zeta will open before said GSM, that means that no seaplanes will go on the lakes until they have been numbered. Similarly, we will be defining official ward boundaries at that GSM when Zeta opens. Vicky has been great in getting the map up to basically close to ready. So we'll just need the slightly updated map for the next GSM, and then we will determine final ward boundaries at the GSM. If you submit roads for consideration at the GSM, which would be a very aggressive schedule, but in case that happens, we will take care of determining your road prefix based on the approved ward numbers. So don't get too attached to your road number, but we're guessing that you're probably going to be within a ward or two of what you should be. So hopefully that will not be a huge issue. OpenTTD server rules have been approved in full as written on the agenda. They will be posted to the rules page shortly, which means that I get to go edit a bunch of HTML, which is fun. Good Lord, that page is a bit of a mess to edit. It shouldn't be too bad though. Like since the page is done, I just have to copy and paste. So that's fine. 5E rules on gambling is we're adding the exception of if an admin is actively involved and able to monitor that it's going fair, then that's fine. just based on the fact that there's been interest in things in poker. Please be nice to your friendly admins in asking for assistance. But yeah, it either needs to be an automated thing or a thing with an admin, just so that we can ensure that people are playing fairly and abiding by the rules and all that sort of thing. We don't want people to get worked up about their balances and whatnot. Okay, 5F, we are formalizing the kind of implicit rules on events, making changes to towns. Generally speaking, small scale and temporary changes are okay if, for wholesome events kind of things.
No, to clarify, it's not just, it's any temporary change, small or large. Yeah.
Temporary changes for events are fine. Towns can opt out of changes if they need to. Just email staff, and we're going to update
Wait, I thought we weren't doing the doc. Hold on.
Well, if a whole town wants to do a blanket opt out, then we'll deal with it. But otherwise, if you own a town and you see that someone wants to do an event, or they already have put changes in, you always have you can always ask them to remove it. And the wishes of the town owner will always take priority over temporary event stuff. So that's that one. And so basically there's a big block of text that I'm just going to copy and paste on the
Just copy the rule on the agenda, Chief.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to copy the stuff that's in that box. So okay, 5G and 5H were less, well,
the minutes.
So
the first part of 5G, I think that's wrong. We approve that part, right?
Yeah. So 300/500 sovereignty rule does apply. So again, the rules are: you need permission if you're building within 300 blocks of a town, and you need to be in touch, like you need to make an attempt of communication if you're going to be within 500. Those rules will apply and cover water as well. So if you want to build a boat that's close to a town, you need clearance from that town. And boats on new Zeta lakes, if they're not connected to a town, please do not build them yet, because we're going to talk with Tom and finalize some more rules in that department once Zeta is up and running and once we get a chance to talk to Tom. 5H, MRT Marina Seaplanes. This one is also being deferred over to Tom once we get his opinion on the kind of building administration aspect of it. Then we will be able to make a decision on whether we want to allow seaplanes. For now, please hold off on building seaplanes there. No MRT lines. All roads were approved. So there were 5 roads that have been approved. We have the B63 from Deadbush to Hempstead. We have the A53 and the B531. We have the B600 from Newmark to Whiteley. We have a high-speed rail line from Vegeta and Willow to Skogheim. And then we have the B89. B89 needs a new number. And the high-speed rail line, just be careful about land scarring. Everything else is good to go. And then finally, the 2 projects were both approved. One was some renovations to the pig racing tracks, and the other is LD Shadowlord is exempted from the seaplane restriction of needing to be on a lake. So the city of Monolith has been granted a waiver to build a seaplane base on its canals. So that is good to go. Before I get into the Q&A, I have results of the trustee meeting, which I will read. They're fairly short. The trustees voted as follows. Sands' Poop Sock is nominated for trustee. Patrick Starr is nominated for trustee. MBS Filming Drone is nominated for trustee. R/Place is recognized as a premier level city. The trustees have declared a state of war between the MRT server and the city of London. The trustees would like to revert the MRT to Minecraft version 1.2.5 and launch a missile at Iran. Those are the trustee. Those are the trustee meeting notes. Are there any questions from anyone And actually, let me put Discord on my other screen so that I can see stuff. Okay. If you have a question about any stuff from the meeting, you can ping me in the GSM Discord or the GSM discussion Discord, or just mention my name in game. Where is a pen so that I can write?
For our viewers on MBS, if you have a question that you would like asked during the Q&A and you're unable to get in Discord, you can ask it in our YouTube live chat. Put it with your Minecraft username. You must be a member of the MRT server for us to accept your question, and we will ask it to the staff.
So when do we actually do what they ask us? Okay. If there are questions, please either just say my name in Minecraft chat or ping me in GSM discussion and I'll add you to the list. Right now, there are no people on the list, so we'll just give you a minute.
It's possible people's questions about certain topics might have already been answered while the talk was going. If you have any questions about Zeta, I'm here.
Also, I just realized Larkspur is the first premier city to be promoted alone for a year.
It to promote what?
Promoted to premier alone in a year. Because we had 6 in 2019 and they were all in pairs in GSMs.
Fascinating. Okay. I still don't have anyone on my list, so I'm assuming that all our questions have been answered.
This is surprising.
It's surprising, but I'll take it.
Yeah. No, wait, no, Chief. When the silly questions happen, you're gonna get a flood. Watch out.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I haven't opened silly questions yet.
But I'm saying when you open it, they're gonna all ask stupid shit.
Really stupid shit.
Oh, actually, I'm gonna start unmuting people in Discord. Actually, so have fun with that.
Oh God. Okay. Okay. Modern. Okay. Modern says, "What is the meaning of meaning?" Philosophy. Did the okay? Serious question from Alfie. Did the whole boat thing get deferred? So we did decide on one part of that, which is that the 300 and 500 sovereignty limits do apply. So as a town mayor, you can withhold permission from if you have a random boat that you want to put in a lake and you want to put it within 300 blocks of a town, you do need permission. So that is a thing that we did decide. Everything else about that proposal is deferred, mostly related to Zeta and putting boats in the middle of new lakes and like what the exclusion zone is around those boats. Just because we need to talk with Tom and a few others. Mindbender, if you could change to push to talk, please. That would, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So, okay, and then what happens retroactive?
That has yet to be determined. We're trying. What sounds like we're probably going to treat all of Tom's situation, all his boats, as a separate thing, and that will probably not. I'm not going to say for sure, but we'll discuss it with Tom because he has not had a chance to look at this topic. But probably we're not going to like give him retroactive warnings or anything like that.
We'll just have to see what his thing was on before we make anything, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, what else are the questions? Sans Not Luigi is asking, am I Sans or Luigi? The answer is you're Mario.
So
Yeah.
I'm looking on Dynmap. It looks
It's-
pretty cool.
It's slowly updating more, so.
We're updating Dynmap.
Well, I did a render recently, so the render.
we've been doing them. We've been doing them periodically. Fred, what's your question? For silly questions, just post them, and I'll get to them. AP is asking, what is special about March 8th? Let me check, and I will tell you.
Specifically, March 8th this year.
Yeah, I know. We're looking here. I want events. I want my calendar. What is this? That is week. So March 8th is the day before FRC week 3 events begin.
FRC.
So, first robotics competition.
Let's see.
Oh no.
So, if anyone has, if you guys know friends who have things happening in FRC week 3, then that's the time to support them. Neither of the events that I will be streaming are during week 3. Court, what is your question? Circle's Pointless is asking how much taxes has Yoshi evaded during fiscal year 2019?
Zero.
Yoshi?
I don't know what you're talking about. Next question.
Yeah. Next question. Fred wants to know if I want to watch all 6 Star Wars with him simultaneously. I would, but I have a day job, so like I'm kind of busy. Protocol, what is your question? Court, I am not going to do that.
Vex or FRC?
FRC.
All right.
Okay. Any other silly questions?
Just as the answer for the March the 8th. March the 8th this year, 2020, it's the 42nd anniversary of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy being broadcast.
Oh, that's fun.
I know, I'm doing an event for it. It's scary.
Mojang wants to know if I'm a triangle or a circle. Yes. And then the conductor wants to know who took his burrito. I know Frumple didn't because Frumple is a taco connoisseur. I would, yeah. So you're safe. My current prime suspect would be, who would it be? I blame Robin. How do you feel about MBS filming drone? Kitty, are you're just doing that as a time lapse thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. That's my opinion. Fred has pinged me and sent me a video that I don't know if I want to watch.
What?
It's Fred. It's probably safe to not to.
I'm just gonna.
Question. Question.
Yoshi.
What are your guys? Is there anything that stands out for you so far in r/play?
Why is there a pedo bear there? That's not something I would expect with our community. But everything else seems pretty standard. Like, I mean, we've seen random. This seems like a representation of it.
This is a construction of random.
I'm surprised there's not more there's not more Frumple faces on it.
It's called abstract art.
Yoshi, you just gave them ideas.
Well, I'm not the center of the server. Like, there are other things
so many
going on.
Arcadia flags everywhere. There's so many Arcadia flags everywhere.
What is it with Arcadia?
They still
Lil
exist.
Shadow,
the heel flag near the
Lil
top.
Shadow
like,
59 is expressing his endorsement of the pedo bear by putting an Arcadia flag on it.
We do actually still need station labels at Cactusville and Gun Valley and Audenville. So if anyone's bored and wants to do those.
I put a little Catania flag in the approximate location of Catania along the yellow line.
I'll do
Cool.
it.
So, anyway, I think we're getting. Are we good with the silly questions?
We are good.
I think we're good.
all aboard the front.
Fred, that's not a question. So, all right.
Okay, what did I do? Why am I being blamed?
Yes.
You ate a burrito.
I ate a burrito.
Not my burrito.
Right.
Okay.
Whose burrito did I steal?
It doesn't matter. You're just gonna get stomach cramps for them.
Okay.
Yes.
Are we good? Do we run away to the other thing now?
I think
I'm
this
gonna call.
is. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna call this good. Admins, if the admins could please vanish into the admin channel.
We'll be back later.
We will be back shortly. To everybody else, there's a secret administrative staff meeting that's going to start now.
I don't think it's very secret, given that you just told us,
very
but...
secretive.
Yeah.
I mean, also, I think we talked about it yesterday too.
Some people knew
Yeah,
about
we
it,
do.
but
Well, for some
but
people. Anyway, bye.
For some people, this is a surprise. So we're gonna vanish, and we may be back with announcements later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, back to Mumble.
Awesome.
You guys are Mumble.
I want an awesome.
And for our viewers on MBS, this concludes our live coverage of the first General Staff meeting of 2020. The January 2020 GSM has now ended. What you're looking at on the screen is r/place, a location on the map world where people have been building during the GSM. MBS has been filming a time-lapse of the progress of the building of r/place. We will be posting that to our channel later. For now, I'm Kitty Catwoman 231 from MBS News. Thank you for watching.